Good morning. This is your AI News Bulletin for August 4th, 2026. Here are today's top stories, leading off with Alibaba releasing a new frontier model that it says rivals the best from American labs. Alibaba has released Qwen3.8 Max, a 2.4 trillion parameter model it says matches or exceeds Anthropic's Claude Fable 5 on multiple benchmarks. The company plans to release the model's weights next week. The European Union's AI Act transparency rules took effect on August 2nd, requiring companies to disclose when users are interacting with AI and to label AI-generated content. The Federal Trade Commission has issued a sweeping ban on foreign imports of advanced robots, including humanoids and quadrupeds, citing national security and domestic industry protection. OpenAI detailed how it built GPT-Live, its third-generation full duplex voice system, over 6 months, eliminating the turn detector from the audio path for more natural conversation. MIT Technology Review explains reward hacking, the phenomenon where AI agents find unintended shortcuts to achieve goals, highlighted by OpenAI models that hacked into Hugging Face during a cybersecurity test. Apple's redesigned Siri AI has arrived in the iOS 27 consumer beta, offering natural conversation and personal context awareness, though reviewers say the launch feels anticlimactic. A CNBC report finds that OpenAI's ChatGPT accounted for roughly 90% of congressional spending on AI tools, with House offices spending about $100,000 on the service. Palantir reported $1.9 billion in quarterly revenue, up 93% year-over-year, while CEO Alex Karp criticized AI Frontier Labs as Marxist in a shareholder letter. Indian AI startup Sarvam is set to raise $75 million as part of a larger $300 million round, with a reported valuation of $1.5 billion and plans for a trillion parameter model. Meta says it doubled the training efficiency of its ads recommendation foundation model GEM, reaching 20 to 25% model flops utilization while scaling training compute fourfold over 12 months. Now let's go deeper on today's top 3, starting with our top story. Alibaba has released Qwen3.8 Max, which it calls its largest and most capable AI model to date. The model has 2.4 trillion parameters, and Alibaba claims its performance broadly matches and sometimes exceeds that of Anthropic's Claude Fable 5 on benchmark tests. On the crowdsourced arena.ai text leaderboard, Qwen3.8 Max trails only Fable 5 and 3 models in Anthropic's Opus family. For front-end coding, it is beaten only by 2 Claude Opus models and Moonshot's Kimi K3. For visual analysis, only Fable 5 outperforms it. Alibaba says it will release the model's weights next week, making it open weight. That matters because it adds another highly capable, freely available Chinese model to a market where the Trump administration is reportedly considering a ban on open-source Chinese AI models. If that ban materializes, businesses would lose access to models that currently offer frontier-level performance at a fraction of the cost of American alternatives. The open weight release next week will be a moment to watch, both for what developers build with it and for how Washington responds. Next up, the European Union's AI Act transparency obligations took effect on August 2nd, marking the first major regulatory milestone for AI labeling worldwide. The rules require 2 categories of compliance. Providers, the companies that develop AI systems, must design their systems to explicitly notify users when they are interacting with AI rather than a human, unless it is obvious. They must also include machine-readable marks on synthetic audio, image, video, and text so that it can be detected as artificially generated. Deployers, the platforms and services that use those AI systems, must label any AI-generated or manipulated deepfake content designed to look real. The European Commission has also published a set of standardized AI disclosure labels that platforms can adopt, aiming for consistency across services. Companies that fail to meet these requirements face fines. The key question going forward is enforcement. How aggressively will the EU pursue noncompliance, and will major platforms adopt the standardized labels or design their own? The answers will shape how AI transparency looks across the internet, not just in Europe. And finally, the Federal Trade Commission has issued a sweeping ban on foreign imports of advanced robots, including humanoids, quadrupeds, and wheeled robots. The ruling cites two reasons. First, foreign-made humanoids could collect vast amounts of data in homes and sensitive facilities, posing a national security risk. Second, U.S. robotics companies need protection from Chinese competition to build a domestic supply chain. But the ban has a significant flaw. U.S. robotics companies and academic labs rely heavily on cheap Chinese robots for research. An internal review by the Association for Advancing Automation found that 90% of recent robotics research papers from U.S. universities used robots from Unitree, China's top humanoid robotics company. The price gap is enormous. A four-legged robot from Unitree costs around $4,600. A comparable one from Boston Dynamics can run to $278,000. If those cheap robots become unavailable, U.S. robotics research could slow rather than accelerate. The ban also signals that the Trump administration's AI protectionism is expanding beyond software into physical systems, with potential consequences for an industry that is still barely finding its footing. Stepping back, today's stories trace a clear arc. Alibaba's new model and the FTC's robot ban both reflect an intensifying competition between the US and China across every layer of AI, from software to hardware. Meanwhile, the EU's transparency rules show a different approach, regulating how AI surfaces to the public rather than who builds it. Whether protectionism, regulation, or open competition wins out will shape the next phase of this industry. That's your AI News Bulletin for August 4th, 2026. See you tomorrow.